Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy here for Nerds by Nerds. Today we're going to do another edition of Terrible Terrain.
Are we delving deep on this one?
We're delving all the way into the Underdark with deep gnomes, gray dwarves, and dark elves.
All right, oh my.
And what their cities and the wildernesses around them would kind of look like.
All right, and who are you?
Oh, I'm Dave, by the way.
An illithid got to his brain.
I'm Nate.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ted.
All right, and we are Nerdarchy. Unite.
Perspective-wise.
All right, let's start with the deep gnome. They're
Or how do you say the
Sernedlin.
Yeah.
They're the most different, I think, of the two.
Because they're not evil?
They're the good guys of the Underdark. The underdogs of the
Underdog.
Underdark.
They're not evil.
Yeah.
And they also are kind of more like surface elves or forest gnomes in the sense that I feel like they work more with the natural terrain and try and encompass it into their structures, their buildings, and their homes.
So I would see them as like more akin to making a city that's a little bit harder to realize that, hey, that's a city.
Find it or
Yeah.
super.
They also collect in smaller groups as well.
Right.
So
that makes it easier to hide the grouping.
Yes. You know, so I think their primary defense, and also their gnomes, which specialize in illusion anyway, is basically things not realizing they're there.
See, I see them actually as doing the strength and number things, and like they're a lot more unified because like the Drow and the Duergar will like be at each other's throats because they're evil. Whereas like the Deep Gnome they're very super communal and cooperative and like work together to make things accomplished.
Well, that's true.
So they might have a large city that's hard to find, but super easy to abandon with lots of hidey holes.
Well, sure, anyone can do that in their campaign world. I'm just saying what the Monster Manual says.
F the Monster Manual.
They have them in small, tight-knit communities.
And this way, with the
they're like Smurfs of the Underdark.
With them being smaller, even than their dwarf enemies, their tunnels are just going to be designed for their size, so they can easily get into and get through. Whereas anyone trying to pursue them is going to be constrained by the size of the tunnels.
Yeah, I see lots of traps. Like secret doors, this kind of stuff. Actually, when I imagine a Deep Gnome city, I think of like an Escher drawing, like where there's like stairs on the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
So like because they have a thing with earth elementals, like what if they have magic infused that you could like walk on steps that are actually on the ceiling? So like it's very confusing, like it hurts your head to look into it, but because gnomes are resistant to like magical effects, like, they have advantage on saving throws. Like going to a gnome city is like super disoriented for anybody that's not a gnome. So that would be another defensive thing that they could have.
Okay.
We're also like in that scene in Labyrinth, which was again influenced by Escher.
Right.
So they brought back the poison darts.
Yep.
In previous editions, though.
I mean, I thought using the mere act of using poison was evil. I'm just being facetious.
Well, in previous edition, it wasn't actually that kind of poison.
Yeah.
They would actually take like glass beads and fill them with acid or a knockout drug, and so when they would hit with the dart, the glass would break, and then you'd either get splashed with acid or you'd get this knockout stuff on you. But then like other interesting things that have been done with those is taking those same beads, and what if they designed special ones that could take a certain amount of pressure, right? So they just line tunnels with these where they're light enough to walk across them without breaking them, but a Duergar or a Drow, who's going to be slightly heavier, is just enough to trigger the trap.
Landmines. Well, the problem with that is because they're good aligned, they're probably less likely to leave something out that like the wildlife of the Underdark. I mean, I know there's lots of evil things in the Underdark too, but like, are they likely? It's like the idea of like the ranger like is less likely to leave out a bear trap for just anything.
Yeah, but I think it's more like their secret tunnels and their inner defense.
Oh yeah, inner defenses
where things are unlikely to wander in.
Right. Not the random.
Here's something that it's less of a question with our forest video, but in the Underdark, where sound travels differently and you have very strange things underground. How do you what kind of sounds would you see would be typical in a Deep Gnome city? Is it more prone to being quiet because they're smaller and stealthy, or is there some kind of activity?
Well, they're still smiths.
Yeah,
They're still smithing away. Like I think they probably do some, you know,
illusion stuff that sound
dampens
it, or like warps it to sound more like bats and like other underground like, well, not even water because people might be looking for that, but like yeah, just like bats and like lizards, like something that modulates the sound so it comes out sounding more like ambient noise.
Of the three races, I see gnomes as being the most, you know, quote unquote magical. Like I know, you know, dark elves are known to have high powerful, you know, clerics and high powerful mages.
You mean innately?
But innately, yes. So I see them as having magic more enveloped in their city. You know, both with, you know, illusions and with any kind of dampening effects to make them harder to be heard, harder to be seen, and using that to the utmost advantage.
But I'd also see them like cultivating the wilderness around them as well in the Underdark. You know, maybe tending mushroom forests and stuff like that to grow a specific way, lichens and mosses and things that'll be useful to them.
Yeah. Well, and you know, like for them, like I also see them because there's so many hostile things around them. They've got a little bit of like a PTSD, like as far as like role playing. So like they're super shook and skittish because like there's like always a little paranoid in a certain regard because there's so many bad things around. It's like the crew to always be afraid. You know?
No. Never not be afraid.
Never not be afraid. Like so, I think there's a bit of that. Like, and I feel like their tactics, if they're being invaded or something, first off, like they're going to be super, not xenophobic, but just like they're not going to be like super friendly to outsiders. They're going to be like interrogating them, not like waterboarding them, but like asking them a ton of questions, really trying to get a beat on them before they're going to let them into their community. And if there's an invading force, they fight a retreating battle the whole way, and just like basically women and children get out, and like they're like range attacking, moving out. People are swinging from murder holes, heading out, like that kind of things, like secret tunnels and that.
Of the races, I mean, they're pretty hardcore. Their speed here is listed as a 20. I mean, they're going to be hard pressed to be able to outrun anything.
Wow, they're even slower than the other small races.
Yeah. Well, it's not about outrunning them. It's a fighting withdrawal is about attrition and whittling them down.
So that's where I think
and picking your battleground.
The regular traps and the magic traps, totally come in. I think with deep gnomes or gnomes in general are usually decent with illusions. So I think
not only that. Let's look at who their allies are. They ally themselves with earth elementals.
Yeah, that's very true.
They may be moving at 20, but you got to go through the earth elemental in front of them to take advantage of that. And they're not exactly lightweights.
No, not at all. So I mean, I think with using magic, with using traps and magic traps, you could have that kind of fighting retreat, and it gets to a point where it's like, all right, well, when we hit X, it's just cut and run. And they go off through their tunnels, and you just
I almost see Deep Gnome more as being very similar to Kobold tunnels, but worked better and deeper. Better structure, probably prettier, but
better style to them. Yeah.
So if you guys have any suggestions or thoughts that we didn't hit upon, put it in the comments below. While you're doing that, click like, share, subscribe.
Yep. You can go to Nerdarchy.com.
Or find us on Facebook.
Or you can check out our subreddit, Nerdarchy.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.